Welcome back. My name is Sophia Worrell, and today on day 9, we will start to work on how we can resolve this problem that we have been pulling apart. So let's see if we can reach some conclusions. In school, we were asked to dissect a frog to view the inner organs. We had to compare the image that we saw in a book to how it actually looked in the frog. Images and the real thing can sometimes look the same, or they can look a lot different. In science classes, we were asked to do many experiments, and when I was in my physics course, we had to translate much complex information. It took several of us to work together to conduct the experiment, as it had several working parts. It was one thing to read the information and another thing to conduct our own experiment. Sometimes we came to the same conclusion in the example, or the result varied. It was interesting to note that other groups also came to almost the same results or were way off. Life is not an exact science either. There are many variables when a man and a woman get together and decide to marry in order to have a family. Later, I will present the ideal one as a model, but today, let us consider how reading plays a role in one home over the other. Yesterday, I addressed the fact that mother has to begin reading with her child and is the one to introduce them to reading. I ask you, who else can we cite as the one to take on this role? She's the one who has carried the child for 9 months. She's the one who has to wean the child. Doesn't it stand to reason that it is the role of the woman as mother to ensure that the child is able to function in the world? I think this is a good time for us to start an exercise in this course. So our first exercise is for you to think about, what is this game of life all about anyhow? You can pause the video and write out your thoughts if you wish. I want to continue from the example that I used yesterday. The mother has been reading to the child and playing games so that learning is fun and not tedious to the child, because she recognizes that the information is best sought up when the child is relaxed. It is at this point that the mother can go on to other books, and she and the child sits with books that have different types of animals, places, and objects. She introduces the child to books with shapes and colors of all kinds, and as the child identifies each one over time, she says to the child, "How smart you are." Then the child starts school, and the teacher gives that child homework and tell them that they have to go to the library so that they can complete homework or class assignments. The mother is happy to oblige, as she has started the child reading one-liner books and they're progressing well with the words. She's there to help them pronounce the words, which they really was doing because they had memorized the story, rather than being able to know what each word was. The teacher will later help to identify letters through phonics. Mother has done her part in laying the foundation for others to build on. Both parents knows what their part is and appreciates that there will be many others to assist them in completing their job. I want to pause and do a second exercise. I ask you, who is it that is losing when they do not do their job as parents? Once again, you can pause the video to consider and answer the question. Thank you for coming back if you did the exercise. Now let's look at the job of the teacher. The teacher has completed many years of college and university to become qualified to teach children. They arrive at a school and are given a curriculum to follow. There's a system within a school in which the child has 1 year to grasp the lessons before going on to another class. This is for a reason. Remember, everything is for a reason and everything is connected. Any person will agree that from the time of conception, the child is growing and developing. They are cocooned in the mother for a period of 9 months. After the baby is born, the growth process is accelerated and never ceases. The child is in the mother's care for a moment, and then the father has to take over for a short period before that child is passed on to the teacher. With each year, the child is developing various skills. Let me ask a third question. What is the reason for all of this growth and development? Again, if you need to pause the video to answer this very important question, please do. Everything hinges on the answer. I welcome you back again. We're looking at the job of the teacher, and now we're going to look at the purpose of school. And the teacher has a certain amount of time to prepare a group of students for the next level of their education. From the time that that child enters the school system, they are on a clock. They have to master each stage before going on to the next phase. In kindergarten, when we see children threading needles, playing with blocks, coloring, and all the myriad of activities they're doing, we have to understand that they are building their motor skills for the physical activity of writing and using their mental faculties for comprehension. All of these activities that they're doing are important for them to use their brains when they come up against problems to find solutions. By learning to stack blocks, they're learning patience. And when they're trying to squeeze a square block through a round hole, they're gathering common sense and learning order. The teacher has a job to do and is dependent on parents to do theirs. But too many persons are oblivious to all of this. They do not recognize the importance of the home in relation to other facets of society. Going back to the mother and the child, I want to point out something very vital that is happening with that child. Again, these are things that are so subtle that they can be missed, and children suffer a lifetime because of our lack of understanding of how essential our duties and roles are. As the mother reads to the child, and then the child reads to the mother, a dialogue emerges between mother and child. The art of conversation is cultivated in the home first and sets the child up for failure or success. When the mother asks the child a question, or when the child asks the mother questions, there's a relationship beginning to happen. This is setting them up on a path of learning that is very crucial to the child and their learning process. When the mother asks a question, there must be an answer. When the child asks the mother a question, there must be a response. This is how the dialogue happens. There's no argument that the letter A, what it stands for, and the image that you see in the pictures. Let's say, for example, that there's an apple. They agree that when they see two objects, they can come to the same conclusion. If, for instance, it's an image of a particular animal that they've seen in the book or seen in the wild. However, as the child begins to hear stories or read them for themselves, They're not drawing the same conclusion as parents, teachers, or other people for that matter. The child probably gets another idea from the story than what the parent offered. The information is fascinating and they want to talk about all that is coming into their minds. This is such an important event in a child's life, and no mother and father has to seriously consider how they will facilitate this process. Words in the English language are ambiguous. A word can mean one thing in one instant and another in another context. For example, I can say that I'm presenting this course to you and the listeners, and in another context, I can say we are in this present moment, or I'm giving you a present. It is the same word, but it's carrying several different meanings. The use of right and wrong when teaching children is one that parents must be intentional about. I have done many interviews with people and the lines get blurred when people speak of right and wrong. When a person practices the art of reading, the thought process will be unlocked. That is why the European man was able to overcome those walls that acted as barriers between who they were and what they wanted. Life does not give in to our requests easily. We have to persist and forge ahead with determination. The European man is not successful because of anything handed to him. He's successful because he did not let the game of life defeat him. He got back up time and time again, and that's what it's all about. When those men and women were freed, if they were readers, they would have made other decisions and not get caught up with the so-called traps that are and were they were constantly lured into. Now the playing field is level. Our future is in our own hands and not anyone else's. There are many of us of African descent that are now being stereotyped with those who act barbaric and unintelligent. Their thug-like behavior is not what we want represented of our culture anymore. This is not God's way. This is not the American way. It is time to build a culture that is peaceful, loving, and kind. Thank you.